Hey, it's Jordan. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio,
Tumwa, Iowa.
Please support the only independent outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up. Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. 6 days until the election, and make sure you're with us on election day and night, as we will be across the country. I will be on the ground reporting from the most critical, they say, swing state of Pennsylvania, and colleague Tina Desiree Berg will be on the ground in Nevada, another critical swing state. We will both be live all night. No one else in independent media will be on the ground across the country like Status Coup. So make sure you tune in on election night. Now, I am not MSNBC, and I don't spend all my time reacting to every single crazy thing Donald Trump says, including all the lies he tells. And sorry, MAGA, he is a lying machine. But I think I would be derelict in my duties to not point out and report to you he's clearly already priming the pump for Stop the Steal 2.0, which would tell you he might fear he is going to lose. This from this morning, from Truth Social. Donald Trump, we caught them cheating, all caps, big in Pennsylvania. Must announce and prosecute now. This is a, all caps, criminal violation of the law. Stop voter fraud. Check out Kamala's new sleazebag lawyer. We are on them all this time. Who would ever thought that our country is so corrupt? Doesn't say or explain who exactly is cheating big. Doesn't provide any evidence of who and how are cheating big. But it's going to go everywhere in MAGAville. Steve Bannon is fresh out of prison. I'm sure we'll be on his little podcast, which is one of the most watched podcasts in America. I'm sure it will be Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder. I mean, all of the right-wing sphere. And this is dangerous stuff because people believe it. And when I say people, millions and millions of people, many of whom have guns, many of whom already stormed the Capitol once. And now, 4 years later, after Stop the Steal, the original, there is more of an infrastructure to actually overturn an election and commit violence, which I'll explain in a little bit. This is not just the only crazy lie Donald Trump has told within the last few days. This, again, about non-existent fraud in Pennsylvania. Notice how it's very much focused on Pennsylvania, which most political pundits will tell you is the ball game. Whoever they think wins Pennsylvania will win the election. I'm not positive about that, but it is certainly very important, and that's why I'll be on the ground there on election night. A couple days ago, wow, York County, Pennsylvania received thousands, all caps, of potentially fraudulent, all caps, voter registration forms and mail-in ballot applications from a third-party group. This is on top of Lancaster County being caught with 26 fake ballots and forms, all written by the same person. Really bad stuff. What is going on in Pennsylvania? Trump asks. Law enforcement must do their job immediately. Wow. What's he talking about? Well, sure seems to be a lot of bullshit from Donald Trump. This from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Donald Trump makes false claims about ballots in Lancaster County in Truth Social post. Trump took aim at 2 Pennsylvania counties, both of which have reported encountering voter registration application that showed signs of fraud. Lancaster County was not, quote, caught with 2,600 fake ballots and forms, all written by the same person, as Trump claimed on Truth Social. Trump, who has a long history of spreading false claims about Pennsylvania elections, took aim at Lancaster and York counties, both of which have reported encountering voter registration applications that showed signs of fraud. But Trump's post drastically overcounted the affected documents and went beyond reality to falsely claim that Lancaster County had encountered, quote, fake ballots. Last week, Lancaster County officials announced they were reviewing 2 batches of voter registration applications, totaling 2,500 registrations that had been turned in right before the registration deadline. The county prosecutor said applications in those batches had shown possible signs of fraud, including duplicate handwriting, as well as fake names and addresses. but did not say how many applications were suspected to be fraudulent. Instead, officials said that all the ballots in the batches were being reviewed. The batches had been turned in by a voter engagement group that paid workers to gather applications, but officials did not name the group. This from the York Daily Record. Update. The York County Elections Office denied about 24% of a batch of 3,087 recently received voter registration applications, and they are under further review by the district attorney, according to a new release Wednesday evening. Of that number, 85% involved duplicate registration requests. I mean, this is hardly scandal of the century stuff, but it was spotted before the election, and it seems like the county is handling it, and it's 24% of a batch of over 3,000 voter registration applications, including duplicates, which those duplicate registration requests could be coming from Trump supporters. Who knows? But he's making it out to be the election's being stolen. The crooks are stealing it. The Democrats are stealing it. And if you watch this channel, you know, we're not here to, do pom-poms for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and the Democratic Party, but you got to call a spade a spade. This is nonsense. It's complete bullshit. There's no theft. There's no fraud. It's an incredibly close election across most of the swing states. Honestly, it would not shock me, and I'm not going to do predictions yet. It wouldn't shock me if you have to have a recount in one of these swing states. It might be Pennsylvania. But he is very, very directly and in a calculated manner trying to preemptively call the election stolen so that he can never have to concede, so that he, with the help of MAGA allies, could try and overturn it, or with the help of a Republican Congress, if the vote is close enough and the Electoral College was possibly tied, it would have to go to the Congress or the Supreme Court. Try and steal the election. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not like an MSNBC, deranged person with Trump derangement syndrome. But again, it's very clear, and the human psychology is very clear. He knows that he has created, in large part, a very loyal, in many ways, cult. And I know we have some conservative MAGA viewers, but I'm always going to keep it real. If you want to unsubscribe, go ahead. He has created a cult who believes anything he says, whether he provides evidence or not, whether he overblows it or not. I mean, there's more. This is from September. So he's been doing this for a while, only accelerating it now. Cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny. And when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. Of course, zero evidence provided, which is all hysteria that then goes through this right-wing ecosystem, this right-wing media hamster wheel of nuttiness. But now there is more of an infrastructure since Stop the Steal, the original. This is just one of the examples. Network of Georgia election officials strategizing to undermine 2024 result. Emails reveal Georgia Election Integrity Coalition, a group of officials and election deniers coordinating in swing states. Emails obtained by The Guardian reveal a behind-the-scenes network of county election officials throughout Georgia coordinating on policy and messaging to both call the results of November's election into question before a single vote is cast and push rules and procedures favored by the election denial movement. And it's not just Georgia, by the way. I mean, over the last 4 years, MAGA loyalists have tried to take over county election boards in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, and some have been successful. And those are the officials who will certify the elections. Elections are run on the county level, not the state level. I mean, you could have an endless endless gauntlet of lawsuits, many of which will be frivolous. But most importantly, you could have a lot of naive, easily susceptible to bullshit, many good people, but still easily susceptible to bullshit. You could have them out. You could have them out at state capitals. You could have them out, in front of politicians' homes. You could have them out in front of the county board. You could have them out. Who knows? Who knows where? A lot of them have guns. And a lot of them already believe the election was stolen once. Polls show this. They have hook, line, and sinker into the big lie. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm not trying to unnecessarily stoke fear. But as Tina Desiree Berg, who has covered the growing right-wing extremism movement for us over the last 4 years, will tell you, there's already been violence by Trump supporters against government officials, against the FBI's office. And this is not about whether you are a Democrat or a Republican. It's not about whether you like Kamala or Trump. It's not about whether you say, fuck them both, let's vote third party. The point of this is not about politics or who you support. The point of this, we cannot create the normalization of a never-ending rabbit hole of election denialism. We got enough issues in this fucked up cesspool of a country, which I call the United Corporations of America. We cannot allow it to be normalized that the Republicans are just going to, cry wolf every time and claim the election was stolen, because violence will happen. I don't care if President Biden, who will still be president, if the police crack down, when you believe the lies coming from this man, there's a lot of unstable people that will try to commit violence because they think their country is being stolen. Hint, hint, the country's been stolen already, but not by Democrats, not by election fraud, by Wall Street and multi-billion-dollar corporations who have purchased the politicians, Democrats and Republicans. Trump has just fooled you into thinking it's been stolen by crooked Dems. It's been stolen, but in a different way. I also want to show, this is actually a pretty good report from CNN of all places, basically showing you that there's already kind of a plan and desire for another January 6th. This is not very comforting. Let's watch.
It's like, how much theft can they get away with in order to prevent Trump from winning?
Do you think he's going to win?
If we have a fair election, yes.
There's no way he can lose fairly?
Fairly, there's no way he can lose.
MAGA World is preparing its followers for a stolen election.
We're just going to announce Harris is the winner. We're going to go, we win again, and now try to stop us again. And what's different this time is we're going to be able to stop them.
Is there anybody here in North Carolina ready to take this nation back by any means necessary? Say yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're laying out step-by-step plans to overturn a potential Harris victory. These are not random Trump supporters. These are influential figures in the MAGA movement.
It's all going to depend on what they end up doing. I have a plan and strategy for every single component of it. And then January 6th is going to be pretty fun.
Many of them, like Ivan Raiklin and Michael Flynn, have huge audiences online and are involved in election-denying groups that have spent millions of dollars furthering election conspiracy theories.
And we should know by Tuesday night, by about 9 or 10 o'clock at night, that one party won.
Election officials across the country have explained that we likely won't know the full results on election night. To conspiracy theorists, however, that is a sign of fraud.
In this case, I strongly believe that Donald Trump, if this thing is a fair election, he'll win all 50 states.
Now, if it's legit, we don't have to worry, right? But who thinks it's going to be legit? You think they're just going to give it to you? No, this is going to be a fight.
So you get the point. It's legit and wonderful if Trump wins. If he loses, they stole it. It wasn't a fair election. Let's get out of the streets. Let's take our country back. I don't know about you, but I've had enough of this shit. There's actual corruption. There's actual crooks in the Democratic and Republican Party that have stolen your country, and they've just sold it to the donors. They've just sold it to the banks, to the fossil fuckers, to big pharma, big real estate, Silicon Valley, the military industrial complex. That's who we need to focus on. We don't need to spend the next 3 to 5 months in Stop the Steal 2.0 and, this post-truth society that the election was stolen with no evidence, with grifters, who already have YouTube channels or create new ones, pushing this nonsense under the guise of election integrity. We need to focus on environmental genocide. We need to focus on communities being poisoned all over America by their government and corporations. We need to focus on workers fighting back and workers organizing. We need to focus on organizing and fighting peacefully against, whether it's Harris as president or Trump. We need to focus on economic organizing and economic boycotts to this strong economy, which is actually really just a Gilded Age, not this post-truth bullshit. But you should know he's already priming the pump for Stop the Steal 2.0.